Hey everybody, this is going to be a really quick video just showing you how to get prepared to mix up resin for any project. I always use 1-to-1 ratio resins. I don't do the 2-to-1 or anything like that. I typically use medium viscosity, which is kind of a medium thickness. I have the best results with that. There is some fast cure resins that have longer working times that people are using for bloom effects and stuff, but I just typically use a medium viscosity no matter what brand. So you'll have your equal parts of B and A, and I'm going to show you how that I go about mixing, and I always have my little bathroom cups and piping bags and stuff ready if you're wanting to do a bloom effect or something like that. I'll have my different pigments, micas, glitter, just whatever you want, but this is just a general mixing video. You want a container that's you got more space than the amount that you need to mix. So like today I'm mixing about 16 ounces or so, maybe 18 ounces of resin. And so I need a cup that has more space than that so that you're not trying to mix it with your resin right at the top. So that's just an important note. I've got an infrared heat tool, and you can shoot your little laser into the resin, and like right now the room is about 75 degrees. Always err on the side of caution. It's still a chemical, and it's still a chemical reaction even if there's no VOCs, low odor. I have a 3M rating of P100, and it's made for gases and odors, and it's like a half mask. It goes over your nose and mouth, and then I wear goggles, or you can wear glasses to protect your eyes. Just always be safe. I've got a timer. And typically most resins take about 5 minutes to mix, so I'll start my timer when I get ready to mix. A little spoon for mica powders or beads or anything that you need to scoop up and put into your resin. I like a skewer to drag and make a design. Tweezers, little sticks. I like a really thick, long, big stick for my big container to mix. You don't want your fingers close to your resin where it's harder to mix that way. Another point, when you're doing equal parts A and B, the B is always thinner than the A, so always put B in first and then A. So B and then A, or A into B, and it will mix easier for you, and you'll have less chances of it not mixing thoroughly. That's just a big tip, that if you put your thicker resin in, the A part, if you put it in first, it's harder to mix it, and you have not as good results with it, being a really perfectly mixed resin. You don't have to mix fast. You can just do it slow and steady. I'll show that in a minute. You want a heat torch, usually on a low fire, for bubbles, things like that. Do not ever torch alcohol inks or alcohol right when you've laid it into your resin. If it's laid on the surface, give it a little time to dissipate, because if you hit your fire to that alcohol ink or alcohol, you can spritz alcohol anytime you want to during your whole process. But if you put your fire to that, your fire could make a flame. Also, when you're doing like a deep mix like this, it will warm in a deeper container a little bit faster than if it was like a larger shallow container. So I like to go deeper because I'm usually wanting it to heat to kind of like a certain temperature. And if you're wanting to do special effects like a bloom or something, then you want to wait till it gets to at least 90 degrees or so. I'm in America, so I don't do Celsius, I do Fahrenheit. Always have tape around for anything in your molds before you get started. I have a heat gun, which is 1800 watts. This is a low temp heat tool, and they're usually around 300 watts. They do blow out air, so you have to be careful. when you're blowing your resin for bubbles and stuff, because if you have a design, it could mess up your design. So then you would only use your torch on low to get any bubbles, or spritz it with alcohol. So the first thing I do, and then I'll just show you how I mix, and this will just be a little basics video on how you mix any resin. I like plastic containers that are flexible, and then when I'm finished pouring my resin out and I'm done with it, I turn it over on my silicone mat and let it kind of drain down, and it just really, you just squeeze it and it kind of pops out when you squeeze it. There are silicone cups like this, and you can do that with silicone cups. I find it a little bit easier in a more rigid plastic container that has some flex to it. I also love these, and this is in my Amazon link. Everything's below the videos in my Amazon link. This is a 32-ounce plastic, like a kitchen mixing container, and it's fabulous for squeezing and getting that cured resin out, and then using it over and over and over again. You can also, as soon as you're finished with your resin and your project, you can go in and just take alcohol and baby wipes. Those are your best friend. Alcohol and baby wipes work better together to get resin off of gloves, skin, surfaces, plastic containers. They work better than alcohol and paper towels. Something about the baby wipes with the alcohol is a bonus. I'm going to put my mask and goggles on, and we're going to mix up my resin for my next project that I'm working on. And I'll just look at my little ounces on the side to know that I want equal amounts of B and A. I'm going to start the timer 5 minutes. So here I've started the timer, and here is how I mix. I don't go fast. I just go around. Sometimes I go back and forth, or like a figure 8. Once in a blue moon, I'll scrape my stick off and put it back in and keep mixing. And you're just going to do this. It doesn't have to be fast. You just need to do consistently, and to make sure and go around the edges occasionally as you're mixing, to ensure that it's fully all mixed up, all the A and B together. And you'll do this consistently for 5 minutes. So I'm going to put my mask back on and keep mixing. Okay, so it's been 5 minutes. If you're ever doing a bloom effect, or where you want some kind of effect, you're always going to go ahead and start your timer. So I'm going to clear it and hit start, and we're going to keep an eye on the time. I'm also going to keep an eye on the temperature, and that's only when you're doing an effect. If you're just doing a straight layer of color or clear, you don't have to really worry about the timing. I'll show you how the infrared thermometer works. You just turn it on, point it in. So right now, and it can be different temperatures on the outside of the cup and in the middle, but it's around 75 degrees, so we've got a ways to go to actually start using it for a bloom effect or a 3D effect. But it'll automatically turn itself off, so we'll keep an eye on the time. This is the generic version of mixing any medium viscosity resin, so you can move on to your next project. I hope you learned something from this. Again, always be safe. Gloves, goggles or glasses, and a mask over your nose and mouth. There's also full face masks, and I have one, but I get claustrophobic. So this is the generic mixing version. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe. Love you all.